finally, let's end it. I want to do my game of the week. You know, before I was doing like reviews, but I think game of the week is going to be the perfect way to do these things, where I just, you know, highlight a game that I've been playing and enjoying and talk about it. Because obviously I want, you know, some of the news is kind of crappy and gets into like culture war stuff, but I also want to like really highlight some awesome games and talk about them. This is Crimzon Clover World EXplosion for the Nintendo Switch. Just an amazing game. With this, you have a thing called, one of like the big gimmicks, if maybe gimmicks are kind of a harsh word, but is the break mode. And you also have double break. It has a gauge. Rather than like having just a set number of bombs, you can use bombs very continuously, and the sort of gauge for it goes up. So you have to build up more gauge to get a bomb. Or you can use the break system to increase this like break rate and score points. And obviously, if you look at the very top right, I assume you can see that. Hopefully it's not cut off. But you obviously earn more of these stars for in order to get an extra life. And I mean, this game starts pretty easy, but you can, you know, bomb really aggressively, as you can see here, to survive. You have to like balance. It's a really interesting balance. You have to balance, am I going to bomb to survive? You know, if you can't get in an intense situation where you can't dodge everything, which I'm kind of in right now, where, you know, stuff starts to like close in. I'm not 100% sure if I can dodge like all this stuff. In order to get back to the center of the screen, I bomb, which means I'm using up some of that meter, which means I'm not going to get to like the break or the double break where I can score a ton of points. And if you score a lot of points, that means you get more lives, which helps your survivability too. So you have to kind of like gauge, especially if you're playing for more survival, which I am here trying to get the 1 CC. Then you have to kind of, again, I bomb again because I was probably going to get hit by that at this point. So you have to balance survival with scoring in a really interesting way. It feels, and it does feel really good to use your double break meter, which is kind of cool. Like that sort of aggressive style of playing is really neat. So novice, you know, this is novice, and it starts really easy, but it starts getting a lot harder in stage 3, which I'm on right now. At first I was like, oh man, this game's gonna be super easy, I'm gonna beat it in my first try. And then as the game goes on, it's like, no you're not. Like, it's actually quite hard, and the arcade mode is very, very tough, at least for me, you know, as a guy that doesn't play a ton of shooters, you know, hasn't played a ton of shooters for a long time. It's a big challenge. I end up dying there. But from a visual perspective, readability can be a bit hard. There's a lot going on, especially when you're trying to like look at the bullets themselves, and then like the enemies can be a little bit hard to see on the screen as well. But the enemy design is like really cool enemy design. If I can, let me skip forward a little bit in these clips. You know, it has like some cool like story sequence, a little bit of it, but you know, not too much. It keeps things interesting. This is the enemy design. This is the second boss of the game. Probably my favorite boss, but you know, pops out of the you just see the eyes, and then you're kind of in this volcano fighting it. And the soundtrack is amazing. I love it. I don't know if I can turn this up. I guess this is as high as it goes. I could move the desktop audio up a little bit. Really goes in this awesome like rock track as you're fighting this thing. It's got the boss themselves have so much movement too. You know, these hands that are moving, they feel really alive. Which sometimes, you know, some shoot 'em ups, it's just, you know, a static sprite kind of moving around, and he sort of jumps up and then jumps down. You got the double break here that I'm gonna like unleash my super powerful double break to really start blowing him up. You got the hands that start to move and try and attack you. I'm not gonna let it though, because I'm double breaking right now to blow him away. We have the enemies just feel so alive and active. I love the design on these. It gets blown up, but also as you look, the bosses are so cool in this game. Look at the way this thing starts. You know, it's got a ton of movement. It's got this sort of thing going around it. It almost looks like some sort of like squid. You start this fight, you're shooting out a bunch of bullets here. You got to kind of dodge. This pattern's not too hard. They've got lasers. I like this pattern a lot. The wavy pattern, but it's not. This version is very easy to dodge. Just so they go in there. But as it moves to the different phases, like watch, it starts as like this sort of thing and opens up into a flower. Shooting out a very, like circular pattern in 360 degrees. You got the piano playing in the background. Very nice touch. Different than the rock pattern that was before, but it kind of highlights the differences. And then you have these lasers that pop out. These are kind of hard to dodge, so I go into my break. Then I dodge the second laser by going in the double break. From this point, I'm out of options, so I just have to go, 360 degrees around. But I can still do damage with the lasers as I have to dodge this pattern. I do kind of like it when bosses kind of force you out of the back corner. You can't do it very often, but having one that does it is pretty nice. And then it moves into another phase where he's like flying up in the sky now. So like he started as like this little like almost like closed thing. It almost looks like a squid, but I guess it's kind of like meant to be like almost a seed. Then he pops open to a flower, and now you end up in the sky fighting this sort of like flight, almost like flying saucer here. Like each boss is like an event. They do a really cool job with it. They just kind of like this pattern here. A lot of stuff, but it's not moving very fast, so I was able to dodge it fairly easy. And it's obviously the sprite is rotating. Again, I'll touch a ton of movement on the bosses. It's very cool. I mean, to me, it's really easy to see why this game is held in such high esteem by shoot 'em up players. It's done extremely well. It's a lot of fun. I mean, some of this stuff like looks a little too busy. That would be the only thing I'd criticize it on. But some of the visuals the readability can be a little hard, especially when you're double breaking. Like, can you understand what's going on at all? That's what initially kind of turned me off of playing it at first, is just how crazy it looks visually on screen. But sort of as you play it, it's kind of it's still pretty fun. Like, you can't even tell these things are here like when you're in the middle of the action. So differentiating between what enemies are there and the stars flying at you and the bullets, it's crazy. It's crazy visually, but it's really fun, very intense game. And what's even crazier, as I beat it, is that when you look at the staff, you got directors Yotsuba, the programmers Yotsuba, the graphic designers Yotsuba, and then the musical composer and sound effects are like Po Teshi and a few people, a few libraries. Special thanks to like 3 people. The entire game was made by one guy that was a sort of like super player named Clover Tack. Back when he like did cave games, and he holds some of the world records for some cave games, which Cave is a developer regarded as one of the best shoot 'em up developers of all time. Did stuff like Mushihime Sama, Dodonpachi series, some other stuff. I can't list them off. The Death Smiles, which I reviewed on the channel a while ago, but the fact that like one game, and he's like just loves shoot 'em ups, absolutely loves shoot 'em ups. It was one of the best shoot 'em up players in the world. Decided to, he loves it so much he's going to make his own shoot 'em up. He used to be a tester for Cave. He was that good at playing the game. He made his own game, and really, made something that could, even compete against some of the best shoot 'em ups of all time. It's just that kind of just amazing story of how one guy decided to make some great video game art. Yeah, I just joined and bombarded by Pixel Vomit. It is a very busy game visually to look at, but like as you're in the game, you don't notice it as much because you're focusing on different things. And he's got different credits. Obviously, as he released it for the arcade and released it for the Switch, more people become involved. But the fact that like one guy can just do so much is amazing. And I love those stories. Like, and then like he ends it with a little thing called like shooting game never die. And it's kind of like English here, praying that the lucky clover will always be in your heart. So it just a love letter to the genre made by a single man that just absolutely loves shooting games. It's hard not to hear about that and not love this game. Crimzon Clover World EXplosion. Definitely a big recommend for me if you're into shooting games here. So enjoy it. Enjoy it, guys. That's my game of the week is Crimzon Clover World EXplosion.